Hey everybody, this is Izzy here, or you can call me Izzylicious, or you can call me Isaiah. Either way, whichever one you're comfortable with, I have no problem with it. I just got back from watching the 2020 video game adaptation of Sonic the Hedgehog. It is at 1:03 a.m. And before I get into this review, I want to say something that I feel needs to be said and heard. When Sonic the Hedgehog, when the original design was released as far as the character likeness was concerned, you had a lot of fans, critics, and the general audience who were not pleased with the results. They felt that this does not look like Sonic. This is absolutely ridiculous. And then also having Gangsta's Paradise associated with the original teaser trailer was just all kinds of wrong. And I admit it did not fit the vibe that they were intended to go with. So the backlash was so extensive and all across the internet, mind you, and social media, that Paramount decided to delay the film and work an extra 5 months into not only having to recreate the design of Sonic, but essentially reshoot the whole film to a degree. And when the new Sonic was released, fans were a lot more receptive to how he looked and how the film was looking. And I have to say this: a multi-billion-dollar studio actually did one of the most rarest things in the world, and that was listen to the audience. Most studios do not listen to their audience. Most studios, whenever they receive some form of backlash, they double down and they continue moving forward with whatever vision that they have in their heads. And Paramount did, again, they went the opposite direction, listened to the fans, and changed everything about it. With that said, you owe it to the studio to watch the film now. All that complaining, all that griping, all that threatening, all that boycotting, everything goes out the window now. You owe it to them to watch this film. And if this film flops because you decide that you're not going to go watch it just because, oh, well, they listened to us, so I'm still not going to watch it, the studio, any studio, mind you, will have no equivocations to ever listen to you again. And if this film flops, you will absolutely deserve the studio to not listen to you. And I know that sounds harsh, and I know that might not be popular, but I had to say it because the fans bullied the studio into completely changing everything about it. I must admit, I was not a fan of initial design. I didn't really care for them using Gangsta's Paradise in the trailer, but I wasn't one of those fans that was harping on the controversy. I was still more or less in the middle of it, and I kept myself neutral. So, again, you owe it to them to watch this film, in my opinion. So, after them, they pretty much bent over backwards for you. So again, you need to go watch this film. I mean, that's only fair in my opinion. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get to this review. Sonic the Hedgehog is a story about Sonic coming from his world into our world after having to escape from a certain death, if you will. And he comes across a small town cop played by James Marsden. His name is Tame Wachowski, if I'm not mistaken. I may have butchered the character's last name, so please forgive me on that. And he is basically they're on the run from the entertaining, zany, quirky, eccentric, intelligent, hammy Dr. Robotnik played by Jim Carrey. I will admit I am not familiar with the actor who does the voiceover work for Sonic. I was told that he did the voiceover work for I think Dewey or Huey for the recent DuckTales series, and the recent DuckTales series I have not watched, so I'm not very familiar with. I was more interested in the old school, nostalgic DuckTales series that I grew up watching. What can I say about Sonic the Hedgehog? Sonic the Hedgehog, honestly, folks, is a wonderful film. It is absolutely everything that I could hope for. I grew up playing the video games. My memory, as far as the Sega console is concerned, I remember there was a code that you could put in using the controller, and what that code did was it allowed you to choose what level you wanted to go to, and I would always cheat and go to the last level just so I could beat the game. The game is pretty much everything that you could want. There's a lot of colors, a lot of excitement, speed, just wonderful topsy-turvy visuals that just made you fall in love with the character and the game of Sonic. So when I heard that they were doing a live action film, I was very hesitant because, again, I was the type of individual who felt and still believe that the world of Sonic is better visualized in an animated format. I wanted to see a studio like Pixar or even Paramount, for example, just could do a complete animated Sonic where you are fully immersed in his world, but rather than mix it into a live action world. But I was still willing to give it a shot, and it works. In this film, it actually works, and it's one of the best video game adaptations. Because you have to remember, folks, there hasn't been very many video game adaptations into film that have been remarkably good. Actually, you can pretty much count them on one hand. There hasn't been many at all. You have Street Fighter, which is a horrible guilty pleasure, looking back on it in hindsight. Then you have Mortal Kombat, which is a good guilty pleasure. Then you have Silent Hill, which is another good guilty pleasure. Then you have the recent Tomb Raider, which is very good. And if you want to go further back, you have Super Mario Brothers, which I guess now, back then when I first watched it, it was wonderful. But then as a kid, and then when you're an adult, you're like, man, this is really awful. And then you had Double Dragon, which is another guilty pleasure. So again, there hasn't been many. So Sonic is one of those films now that I think can bridge the gap in terms of starting this movement of receiving decent to great video game adaptations. And the reason why this film works on a multitude of levels is the fact that it embraced what Sonic the Hedgehog should be. It's all about the wonderful colors. It's all about the zigzagging and the speeding. It's all about just having a great fun time and just visualizing Sonic doing everything that you had hoped for when you were playing the video games. And it works. It's just an overall fun film. Jim Carrey does steal the show as far as Dr. Robotnik is concerned, because I know I was one of those type of fans who were wondering if was Jim Carrey going to be Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, The Mask, or his time on Living Color, or was he going to be kind of more sinister like he was in the number 23, or was he going to be somewhere in the middle? And he completely channels everything from Jim Carrey, from Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, Mask, Batman Forever. He pretty much does it all, and I think it works because Dr. Robotnik, and from my perspective, is supposed to be hammy. He's supposed to be over the top. He's supposed to be eccentric. He's supposed to be awkward, and he's supposed to have this level of unhingedness to him. And that's what makes the character so spectacular, is the fact that now I cannot picture anyone but Jim Carrey as the character of Dr. Robotnik. He takes it to a whole nother level, and it works, and he just does an amazing job with it. His interactions with James Marsden's character is wonderful, and the fact that Sonic is constantly thwarting his plans and pushing him more into the territory of insanity is what really works, in my opinion. I loved it. I loved everything about this film. I had a smile on my face the entire time I was watching it. It just really brought back all those wonderful childhood memories of me sitting in front of the television set, living in Germany and even in California, playing Sonic the Hedgehog, and then even Sonic and Knuckles, and then Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic and Tails, and it's just a great film. It made you feel like a kid again, and it's great for those who grew up playing the games, but it's also wonderful for those who are going to be introduced to a new level of excitement with the character of Sonic. You have parents now who will introduce this film to their kids, say, this is what I grew up playing, this is what I grew up watching, this is what I grew up reading as far as these little comic books are concerned. And it's great for the entire family too. It's great for kids. Kids do not have to worry about hearing any type of foul language, any type of unnecessary violence. They don't have to worry about hearing or seeing anything that's going to traumatize them. It is great. It's just a great family film that I think, hopefully, if all goes well, it succeeds. Because seriously, folks, Sonic the Hedgehog deserves to succeed, and it leaves it open for a sequel. There are 2 scenes during the credits, so please do not leave. You seriously watch this film. It is everything that you could hope for. I recommend it, and I'm truly at a loss for words because I was not expecting it to be as good as it is, and it just has. I cannot wait to see exactly where they're going to go with it. Provided that it succeeds at the box office, it does what it needs to do in order to garner a sequel. It needs to. This is one film that deserves to have a sequel, and this is one film that deserves to have the success given what it had to overcome throughout the course of this production. So, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and give Sonic the Hedgehog a 5 out of 5, 2 thumbs up. Your Sumter Film Critic approves. I mean, I loved every second of it. It has all the action. It has the wonderful soundtrack, and there's a lot of cool Easter eggs. There's a lot of cool Easter eggs and references to the games, and then there's certain. if you haven't played the games, you're probably not going to recognize those Easter eggs. But if you have played the games, you're definitely going to recognize them. And also the soundtrack is amazing too. I have this. When you get towards the end of the film, there's a familiar theme that you were going to hear during the course of the ending, and it's going to really take you back to your childhood, because it did for me. With that said, I'm going to go ahead once again. 5 out of 5, 2 thumbs up. Go watch it. I recommend it. Please take your kids, take your family. It is a wonderful family affair, and I fully recommend it, folks. I apologize for sounding repetitious, but I have to be honest here. It deserves it. It lives up to the hype. It is well worth it. It is well worth your money. It is well worth taking the family out for. You definitely need to go watch it. If you watch any film this weekend, you definitely need to make it Sonic the Hedgehog for sure, without a doubt. Hope you enjoy this review. I don't know what my next review is going to be. I have to look at the next release schedule and to see what my next review is going to pertain to. But I hope you guys go watch this film. I hope you enjoyed this review, and you will be hearing from me again, my friends. Take care, peace out, and be safe. Take care.